This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Dream a little dream of me.
Hey, and welcome back to the show. This is Boomer Life on CL 650. We're talking with the SnoreDentist, Dr. Charnel Muir in North Vancouver. But just before the break, we mentioned you do travel to the island about once a month.
Yes.
And West Broadway and sometimes out to the valley. But the best way to get an appointment is to go to SnoreDentist.ca. So when you go on the website, does it break down where you are? So that you obviously have island appointments versus Vancouver appointments, right?
Right. And so if someone does want to be seen on the island, they would either phone the office and tell me what location they were looking for.
Sure.
So the online booking on the website covers just the North Vancouver practice at this point. But I can schedule patients in any of those locations if there's a preferred location for them. Some patients will actually come to North Vancouver for their initial consultation,
sure,
and then we may or may not treat them somewhere else. Mm-hmm. It's just that, in my own office, I can show them a little bit more about variety of appliances that are available, or we can show other adjunctive therapy or the monitors or things like that. Yeah.
So how have people found your practice? Is it referral from other dentists? Is it physicians? Is it word of mouth? How do people find the SnoreDentist?
Yeah, kind of yes to all of those.
Yeah.
So patients will find me by word of mouth or Googling me or they'll Google something called, snoring, appliance for snoring, or they'll find me somehow they'll listen to the radio show. They'll find me somehow that way. But other patients are referred by their dentist or their physician, mm-hmm, either for testing or for an appliance.
That link between the physician and the dentist, are the MDs up on this stuff? Are they aware enough about what a dentist can provide?
Not as many as I'd love.
Mm-hmm.
I do spend a lot of my time trying to help physicians become educated in this field, and it's not that they don't want to be. They're just busy enough handling all the spokes in everybody's wheel of health right now. But trying to introduce that to them so that they know their patients can come in for testing. They know their patients can be seen for snoring. They know their patients can be seen if they can't wear a CPAP. And just getting that information out there is really critical.
So you're telling me that of the other SnoreDentists that are part of this group that you have, you're down to 2.
Yeah.
Now, you must go back to UBC Dentistry School and speak there once in a while and let them know that this is an option for them in dentistry?
It's interesting. I don't actually have to, because the other person that is involved in the field took over Ellen Lowe's practice at UBC for research. So she does most of the lecturing, and she's actually an adjunct professor in the faculty in the dental department. So she does most of the lectures at this point, so I don't have to. So my job really is to lecture to physician groups, mm-hmm, to lecture to hospitals, to lecture to patients, anything like that. I lecture to CPAP providers, anything that can get the word out that this therapy, if done properly, can be very effective for a lot of patients.
I'm just thinking we need more people like you to provide this service. So we need new dentists to come in to provide this help, right?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where most dentists like dentistry. They like to be able to fiddle and do widgets and do fillings and crowns, and they like the busyness of it all. And this type of practice is very different. This is very one-on-one. It's very about personal health care. It's about improving people's lives, and it's definitely a different way to practice. And it doesn't fit into a general dentist practice, mm-hmm, per se.
You still have the chair?
I still have a chair. It doesn't have any widgets on it. Yeah. I don't have any lights or drills or suctions or anything like that.
I'm sure a lot of people would be happy with that.
That's right.
Yeah,
I have the chair because they're quite comfy.
Yes, they are. They are. My dentist has a TV on the ceiling, which is good.
There you go.
So the appliances themselves. So
yes,
explain generally how they work, and maybe we'll get into some specifics in how they differ from each other, but generally how do they work?
So they're all 2-piece appliances. They're custom made by taking specialized customized impressions of your teeth They will hold the lower jaw slightly forward, and most patients, their lower jaw will move forward to back on average 10 millimeters. So I see 5 to 15, 10 is the average. Now, we start most patients halfway forward along their range of motion. So if you move your chin forward and back, and then go halfway.
I would think that's more than a centimeter.
Yeah, and some people are. Like I said, it's 5 to 15.
Right.
But a centimeter is the average that I see.
Right.
We start most patients halfway. So that's about 5 millimeters forward.
It's not much. If you look at 5 millimeters, it's pretty tiny.
Yeah. But it's enough that it keeps the base of the tongue out of the airway. But what it also does is when you move a lower jaw forward, it actually improves the airway tone. So the airway itself has been shown to be less floppy when you have the appliance in. So it resists collapse more, and it stays more like a cylinder so the air can go through it.
Is it also that the soft tissue becomes softer the more snoring that's happening? You know, like you wear support garments to keep everything tucked in, right? So as it flops around, is it stretching it out even more? Well, I mean, over time, does it get stretchier?
Two things happen. One is we lose muscle tone as we age.
Right.
We lose muscle tone everywhere as we age. There's just not a lot you can do about exercising the airway muscle tone. The other is snoring and some sleep apnea will also cause inflammation in the airway. So the tissues puff up. They become more swollen and red, and they get in their own way. It's a bit of a self-serving thing with snoring, right? So you swell up the tissues and you snore more, and then you swell up the tissues and you snore more.
That vicious circle.
Vicious circle. So two things happen, but the airway tone itself we naturally lose. And most of my patients will come in with some degree of airway tone loss, even in their soft palate. Even when they say, ah, when I check the back of their throat, their soft palate, or that little hangy thing that hangs in the back there.
Uvula?
Doesn't lift as well as it should. So there is some loss of airway tone for sure.
Now, the uvula removal was something that was going on a while ago. My neighbor had that done, and he was in agony, and that's totally out, right?
Yeah, it's just not done unless someone distinctly has a very long, what we call soft palate, or a very large uvula. That surgery is not usually done anymore. No.
Just a totally off subject. What does the uvula do for us health-wise? I mean, we look in the back, we have that image, and the thing hanging down. What does it do?
It does tend to protect the nasal airway from food as well. So it has a process in which the soft palate itself, when we swallow, lifts and it closes off the nose. Thus, one of the side effects that wasn't very pleasant with having the soft palate removed was sometimes patients would swallow and get food in their nose.
Oh.
So that certainly could happen to some patients, which was not very pleasant.
All right, well, let's get off that subject because we're getting back to the appliances themselves. So 2 pieces, one on the top, one on the bottom, and your jaw is held slightly forward on the bottom.
Right.
So that's the general idea. But you said you've got 70 plus appliances you can choose from. So how do they then differ?
Right. So how they differ is material and mechanism.
And I'm sure cost too, right? So there's some are more expensive, some are less expensive.
Some are more durable, some are less durable. Some have more adaptability based on what that patient presents with. Say they have a complete upper denture. Well, that's a whole different style of appliance that we make to replace the denture or go over it. Some people have all of their teeth, but they're tipped or crowded. So it just depends on design, style, material, mechanism, longevity, anything like that can take into account. But there's basic types. 2 of the most common types I use. One is called a dorsal fin appliance, and it's basically got a little fin and then a slant on the other piece, and they fit together like a jigsaw puzzle piece, and that keeps the jaw forward. But you can still open and close your mouth and yawn and talk and drink water and anything like that. Another one has a band that connects the top and bottom piece, and the band has a certain length, and that keeps the jaw forward. You can still open and close your mouth, but we change out the size of that band based on how forward we need your jaw. And a third type that sometimes we use is actually fixed together. So they'll have a mechanism, usually in the middle front part of the appliance, where the top and the bottom pieces hook together, and that keeps the jaws from opening.
And that is, you're able to open your mouth with that one? Or
no, that one you can't.
Right.
And so for a lot of patients, they're like, "Oh, I might find that a little claustrophobic. I don't breathe through my nose really well. I'm afraid of that one." So that's why we have any number of appliances. And I don't have my own appliance. I haven't invented one. Nobody pays me to use their appliance.
Sure.
So I can pick whatever one is best for that patient.
And you've seen trends in which ones people
and they
really
all
enjoy.
change. They all change there's always advancements in appliance therapy all the time.
So I'm guessing there'll be people listening to this show and they have somebody in their life that has sleep apnea and isn't sleeping well, and maybe the CPAP route isn't for them, or they've struggled with it, or they're not using it regularly, or it's too noisy. All of those things. People don't like that. Speaking about claustrophobic, having the mask on. So this is a great alternative, right?
It is, yeah. So the current Canadian respiratory guidelines, and in Canada, that's the Division of Health that regulates the treatment of sleep apnea. The oral appliance is an approved first-line therapy for snoring, mild and moderate sleep apnea, and it's the alternative therapy for anyone who can't tolerate a CPAP, no matter how severe they are. So it really is a great alternative. And anyone, I can't stress this enough, anyone who knows they have apnea should be treating it. And if they can't tolerate a CPAP, or they were told at that time the CPAP was the only thing available, maybe it was, or whatever that is, they really need to be looked at to see if they're a candidate for an oral appliance. Because even if the oral appliance isn't as effective as a CPAP could have been, some therapy is better than no therapy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, we're speaking with Dr. Charnel Muir, the SnoreDentist, and the website is SnoreDentist.ca, located in North Vancouver, but as you heard maybe, or just joining us now, Dr. Muir visits the island regularly, the Broadway in Vancouver regularly, and you can have maybe an appointment closer to where you are, but the best thing to do is go to SnoreDentist.ca and find out more. When we come back, we're going to hear, or actually, you'll read a few more of your emails, because I like hearing good news stories. Next on CL 650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.